Hello, welcome guys to a new video, and this is my first video after passing the ICND2 exam. I passed my ICND2 exam last week, almost a week ago. It was Saturday, um, and I passed with a score of 896, which is not bad. Um, and the passing score is 811, and I got 896 on the ICND2 exam. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up and keep going to get my CCNP. If you guys wanted to know what I got on the different categories for LAN switching technologies, I got an 88%. For routing technologies, I got 76%. WAN technologies, I have 70%. Infrastructure services, 50. Infrastructure maintenance, 56%. And all that somehow um, combined, I got an A96. Um, so now what I'm going to do is going to keep doing more videos and start my CCNP right now. This is my first video. So let's go ahead and open um, GNS3. You can do the same thing I'm going to do with packet tracer. If you have packet tracer, you can do the same thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to first configure um, a point-to-point connection between R1, R3, R3 and R4, and R4 and R2. And we are going to be using PAP for authentication on these point-to-point links. And this one is also going to be PAP over here. And this one is going to be Chap. So we can talk a little bit about him too. I have not configured any of the links with any IP addresses. So let's also move this over here so we can read it better. Um, and also, I'm going to tell you guys right now that I finished my test with almost 30 minutes to spare. And I believe what helped me a lot was making all these videos every night. Just living every day um, was a huge part of why I passed this ICND2. So I'm going to keep doing the same thing for my CCNP and hopefully I pass the three exams as easy as I did for the ICND2. And now let's go ahead and move. Let's go ahead and start uh, talking about PAP. So PAP is an authentication protocol for PPP, which is point to point, and point to point is an encapsulation protocol, um, which is used on serial links, and it is a standard protocol, which means that any company can use it, like Cisco, HP, Juniper. So any of those companies can use it. Um, and PPP, PAP is an authentication protocol, and it's used to authenticate the router 4 and router 2 to authenticate to make sure that they have the same passwords. Um, and the only bad part about PAP is that it is clear text. So whenever you are going to use PAP, your password is going to be in clear text, which is why we can configure Chap. And Chap is not a clear text. Okay, it encrypts everything you send on your point-to-point encapsulation. So the preferred way to configure a serial link with point-to-point is using Chap because it is encapsulated. Okay, but we are going to do both in this video. So let's go ahead and first let's go to router 1 and let's start configuring these interfaces. First, I want to configure. Let's show these labels. So for router 1, let's configure serial link 1. Let's do interface. It's an IP address of 10.10.30.2.252. No shutdown. And then what we're going to do, we are going to configure point to point. And the way you do that is by doing encapsulation point to point. After that, you have to, as you can see, the interface went down. And the reason why it went down is because the the default encapsulation method is HDLC, which is a Cisco encapsulation method for serial links. And since router 1 is using PGP, it's using point to point, and router 3 is still using HDLC, they won't be able to communicate, and that's why this interface went down. And for us to be able to fix it, we have to configure router 3 0 link 2/1 with point to point, and that's going to fix it. But before we can do that, let's also go ahead and configure the authentication method, which is going to be PAP. All right. So now we can go ahead and open router 3. And from over here, let's go config T interface 0 link 2/1 IP address 10.30.1.252. Now shut down encapsulation method point to point. And then after point to point, let's do, you can see that it's still down, even though we have configured the encapsulation method to be point to point. Now we also need to configure the authentication method to be PAP, otherwise it won't work either. So let's go ahead, point to point, authentication, PAP. Okay, and then after this, what we need to do is, oops, let's go to config T. We need to authenticate using something, using a password or using a username and password. Okay, and the way point to point does it is that you have to configure a username for the other router. You need to authenticate router 1 instead of authenticating yourself. So what you need to do is username router 1, even though you're in router 3, right? And the password is going to be Cisco. Then we have to go to the link again, and from here you have to do point to point, PAP, send user, and the user that you want to send is yourself, and the password is going to be Cisco. All right, so this needs to match what we are going to put in router 1. So let's go to router 1. Let's go exit. Let's go username, router 3, password, Cisco. As you can see right here, this needs to match because that's why we're sending it. And when we are sending this to router 1 is to go check their username, which is router 3, and then password for Cisco. Okay, now we go interface 0 link 0 2/1 point to point, PAP, send user, router 1, password, Cisco. And now this one needs to match this one over here. Let's go ahead and see if the link comes up, and there it is. Since we were able to authenticate, you can see that the link came up. But the bad part about this is that we are authenticating using a clear text, um, clear text authentication method. Therefore, anybody can see your password because it's in clear text and it's not encrypted. So now, also let's see if we are able to ping now router 1 or 10.10.30.2. Okay, we are able to ping router 1. That's great. Now let's move on. Let's keep moving and let's configure now router 3 and router 4, but this time we are going to use Chap, and Chap does the same thing as PAP, but Chap encrypts the the passwords and everything in the PPP or point-to-point encapsulation. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead first, exit, and let's get another username. This one is going to be our 4 password Cisco. Okay. Um, this is going to authenticate for Chap in router 4. So let's go ahead and interface 0 link to /0 encapsulation. Encapsulation needs to be point to point. Authentication needs to be not PAP, it needs to be Chap. All right. Now shut down. Now let's open router 4. Let's open both at the same time. Okay, let's go ahead also and configure an IP address of 10.10.10.1.252. Now shut down again. Great. Now let's go ahead to router 4. Config T. And after config T, let's also create a username for our 3 password Cisco. Now let's go ahead and interface 0 link to /0. Let's configure an IP address of 10.10.10.10.2 255.255.255.252. No shutdown. Point encapsulation. Point to point. Point to point. Authentication. Point to point authentication. We are going to use Chap. Okay. So after that, let me see something we can do. Show IP interface brief. Let's go to 0 link to 2/0. It's open up. Okay. Let's go config T. Actually, let's do show run. And here we go. We have configure authentication for Chap, encapsulation point to point. One thing we can do is let's go ahead and send the user. So point to point Chap. Even though for Chap you don't need to send the users. Actually, for Chap you can just set up the password, and now this is going to come down because this one does not have the password. For Chap, so is it still up? Let's do shutdown and then no shutdown. Why is the interface in router 3 still up? This interface do show IP interface brief. Okay, so let me hover over this to server. Okay, let's go back to router 3, then router 4. From router 4, let's see if I do ping 10.10.10. Okay, here we go. It finally came down for that 0 link interface. Now if we do no shutdown, it should come up. There we go. interface up and up. So now from here, let's do point to point, Chap, password, use Cisco. So this is how you authenticate using Chap. You do not need to send your username and password like in PAP or PAP. Now let's go ahead and configure router 2 and router 4 using PAP, and that way you do have to configure that username and also send that username to router 2. So let's go ahead and create that username, router 2, password Cisco. Let's go ahead and do interface /1 point to point, or actual encapsulation point to point authentication using PAP, now shut down, IP address of 10.10.20.1, 252. Great. Now let's go ahead to router 2. Let's put router 2 over here. Let's bring router 4. Now right here, let's do a point to point PAP sent username of router 4. Password needs to be Cisco. Alright. Let's go config T over here. Interface serial link 2/1 encapsulation point to point authentication using PAP. Also, let's do a user name of router 4, password Cisco. Let's go back to the serial interface and send or point to point PAP sent username of router 2 and password Cisco. This password needs to match the same username that we created over here, username and password Cisco, and this one needs to match the one that we created over here. All right. Now let's do IP address 10.10.20.2.252. Now shut down. All right. So you can see that interface came up. Now we should be able to do ping 10.10.20.2. All right. So we're able to ping router 2. This is great, guys. Now one more thing. I want to configure this computer. So IP address 192.168.10.2/24 default gateway 10.1. Okay, now let's go ahead and do this one as well. 192.168.20.0. Oh, now that's 0.2/24. The default gateway is going to be 20.1, which it has not been configured yet. So let's go ahead and configure those default gateways. So let's go ahead to router 3. Interface 5.10.0/0 IP address 192.168.10.1/24. Now shut down. Wait for it so it comes up. All right, that's good. Now let's go ahead and plug in the. Okay, this one is plugged in already. Let's go ahead and bring router 3, which is configured with a default gateway already. And let's bring up router 4. From router 3, let's try to ping this computer over here. So do ping 192.168.10.2 for this computer. There we go. I'm able to ping that computer. Great. Now let's go ahead to this one and configure its default gateway. So 192.20.1/24. Now shut down. Okay, now it's up. Let's see if we are able to ping 192.168.20.2, which is this computer over here. All right, great. Let's see if we are able to ping this computer over here from router 4, this router over here. And I'm not able to ping that router or that computer. So from router 4, I'm not able to ping this computer. And why is that? Show IP route. And you guys should know, if you're watching this video, of course, we cannot ping this computer because it's not in the routing table. Therefore, we are not able to get um, to that network. Okay, if the router does not know how to get to that network, then we won't be able to ping that network correctly, right? Yes. So in this CCNP route that I'm taking, you need to learn how to configure RIP version 2. And this is what we are going to do right now. We are going to configure RIP version 2 on all 4 routers. So we are able to ping each other. Okay, so RIP version 2 has an AD of 120. And as you probably know already, HostPF is 110 and the IRP is 90. And also RIP version 2 is a distant vector protocol and it has a maximum hop of 15 hops. Okay, so anything after 15 hops, it's considered to be unreachable. Also for version 1, it's the same thing. It has a maximum of 15 hops, and everything past 15 hops is considered to be unreachable. Um, RIP version 2 also updates its routing table every 30 seconds, and RIP version 2 is a classless, um, not like RIP version 1. On the other hand, that is a class full distance vector routing protocol. And classless means that we can use any subnet mask. We can use at 24, 25, 26, 28, any of them, 15, 16, when you're using a classless. But when you use a class full, it needs to use either 18, 16, 24, or 32. It cannot be any in between. Also, RIP version 2 uses authentication, which RIP version 1 does not have. And finally, RIP version 2, it sends updates via multicast at multicast IP address at 24 dot 0 dot 0 dot 9. Okay, and RIP version 1 uses broadcast, which means that everybody gets the traffic, which is not good. So let's go ahead and configure this routing protocol. And it's really easy to configure RIP version 2. All you have to do is to go router RIP, and then after that you need to specify the version that you want to use. So we're going to use version 2. And now let's go ahead and enter. So router 3, let's go ahead and configure 10, 10, 30.1. So if we do 10, 10, 30.0, oops, I'm sorry for that. You need to do network. Huh, look at me, I just got my CCNA and I don't know how to configure RIP version 2. So 30.0, there you go. So we have configured router 3 with network 10.10.30.0. But what's happening is if you do a show IP route, we don't have any routes. So let's do a show run. You're going to see the way that the route is being advertised. Come on, where is RIP? There we go. So you can see we have configured RIP version 2, and the network is way. 1 second. Why is it 10.0.0.0.0? It looks like it is adding it as a class full, even though we're using version 2. And a way to fix this is by going to config t router rip version 2, and then do no outer summary. Okay, let's just do no network 10.10.30.0, and let's do network 10.10.30.0. And now if we do show run, let's see how it is showing it for RIP. Still showing it like this. Okay, so if it is showing it like this, let's go ahead to router 1 and let's configure router 1 as well and see how it's going to show us. So let's go ahead to exit router RIP version 2, no auto summary, network 10.10.30.0. Okay, and then let me see something. What if we just put slash 24 here? That doesn't even work. What if we put, okay, no, that's fine. I will just mess it around. Okay, so that's done. Let's go do n show IP route. Okay. And as you can see right here, the way it is advertising it, it is actually putting it in the dirty mask. Okay. So since we set up and we did these no outer summary, it is putting it in its class less um, subnet mask. Okay. So that is the way to do it. And as you can see, the R is for RIP. That's what it stands for. So RIP, this router has learned how to get to the 10.10.10.2 network and the 10.10.10 network. So what we're going to do now on router 3, we need to add more networks. So we need to add network 192.168.10.0 and also network 10.10.10.0. So router 1 can learn about them. So if you do a show IP route again, you can see that router 1 has learned how to get to 192.168.10.0 now, and also 10.10.10.2 and 10.10.10.0. Okay, so that is great. Now we need to go ahead and configure router 4 and router 3. Router 2 and router 4. So let's go to router 4 first. Let's go to router RIP version 2, no auto summary, network 192.168.20.0, network 10.10.10.0, and then network 10.10.10.20.0. Now if we do n show IP route from here, as you can see from router 4, we know how to get to the 10.10.30 network, which is a network between router 1 and router 3. Also, how to get to the 192.168.10 network, which is this computer. So now we should be able to ping 192.168.10.2. Oops, we don't need to do do ping since we are not in the config. Okay, there it is. So now we are able to ping 192.168.10.0. Therefore, if router 4 knows how to get here, now I know that, and I bet you that router 3 knows how to get to this computer now. So show IP route, and there it is. It's advertised via via RIP. So ping 192.168.20.2. There we go. So we are able to ping that. So the only thing that we are missing now is how to get to 10.10.20. Oh, but here we go. We don't know how to get there. But we need to just configure router 2. Do we have router 2 open? We do not. Let's go and open router 2 and show IP routes. Do we have any routes here? Nope, no routes. So let's go ahead and config T router rip. Um, no outer summary. And then from here, let's add the network 10.10.20.2. Let's do version 2. There you go. Now we can do in show IP route. Nothing. Show IP route. And why is that? Let's do a show IP interface brief. So this interface is open up. Am I able to ping router 4, ping 10.10.20.1? I'm able to ping 10.10.20.1. Let's go ahead and show IP route again. There we go. It just took a minute for version 2 to kick in. And as you can see from router 2, I'm able to ping 192.168.10.2. So I should be able to ping this computer. Let's go ahead and do it. So I should be able to ping this computer. There it is. I should be able to ping router 3. We are. Now I should be able to ping that 20 network, which is this one. So I should be able to ping that computer. 20.2. Great. I should be able to ping that one, which is router 4. Great. Let's see what else we have here. Show IP route. I should be able to ping the 10.10.30 network. So let's go ahead and ping those people. Ping 10.10.30.1, which is router 3, and that 2, which is router 1. So as you can see, we have configured RIP version 2 in this entire topology. We also configure PAP, which is a clear text authentication method for point-to-point or P2P or PPP. And also we configured Chap, which is another authentication method, but it's not clear text. It's actually encrypted. And then we finish with showing you guys how to do RIP version 2 and all that good stuff. So if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at CCNA Daily Tips. And if you have any other comments, just leave me or if you have any questions, just leave me a comment in the description below, or you can go ahead on Twitter and follow me and ask me whatever you want, anything you want, and I will answer to you. Also, if you're bored, just go ahead and subscribe to my channel where I think I have over 120 videos already on the CCNA and CCNP topics. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye. Love you all.